Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a splendid new box. Well, we'll see how splendid it is, won't we? From Warner Classics, Ravel, The Complete Works. I don't know if you've noticed, but Warner has been issuing French boxes. Lots of French boxes. They're kind of like bento boxes, only French. They've done the complete Debussy, the complete Berlioz, they've done a Gounod box, they've done an Offenbach box, they've done a Massenet box, and now they've done the Ravel box, which only makes sense because with the complete EMI as well as the Warner Errato Teldec catalogs, they got tons of this stuff. Absolutely tons of it. But there's a real question about how it's best to organize it and issue it because they have so much. And they have not done it the way I would have done it, which means I get to criticize them, which means we're going to have a good time, a really good time going after this sucker. It has got some marvelous things in it. And I mean, how can it not, right? But there are some choices that they've made that I think are questionable, and we will discuss them in due course. In the meantime, though, the interesting thing is that the immediate competition for the complete works is the universal œuvre complète. Here we have the complete works versus the œuvre complète. So I guess this one is more French than this one. Or whatever. Anyway, but the thing that's fascinating about it is that this one is 14 CDs and this one is 21 CDs. So obviously one of them is more complete than the other one, and we get to see how they differ in terms of their completitude. I mean, I can tell you very simply what the difference is. The difference is that here you get a lot more sort of piano arrangements of things, and you also get a bunch of historical recordings at the end. So there's some duplication, which makes this perhaps more appetizing than this. Also, I have to say, and I'll say it straight up, this one uses the Dutoit orchestral works for the most part, which is absolutely ridiculous because this is a Decca Deutsche Grammophon mishmash where they were perfectly happy taking Deutsche Grammophon recordings of individual works, like, Martha Argerich doing some of her Ravel. Why would they not use the Pierre Boulez and Ozawa Ravel orchestral works instead of the relatively boring Dutoit? So I already like this one better, even though it's not perfect either. So let us open it up. It opens this way, which is rather nice. I like these sturdy boxes. They're actually pretty attractive. And let's see what we get. It starts out, we're going through it, disc by disc, as we always do. It starts out with the piano works, and there are lots of them, many more than you probably originally thought. We get, let's see, what are the ones we want to really talk about here? Jeu d'eau, Sonatine, Miroir. These have Bernard Chamaillou, Alexandre Tarot, Samson Francois, of course, and Anne Kefelec, who was excellent. It's a great lineup. I mean, there's nothing wrong here. Although, again, you might, because they have such iconic versions. I mean, the Samson Francois Ravel piano music cycle, maybe you should just build it around one guy or one group of recordings and then supplement as need be. Instead, what the approach they've sort of taken is the grab bag, let's show off our fabulous roster of artists approach, which is okay. But for me, it's a little bit less satisfying when you've got such great stuff by individual artists. But that's disc one. Disc two is Gaspard de la Nuit with Samson Francois, which, of course, they had to do. And this is fascinating. Deafness and Chloe, the complete ballet in the first version for piano. Who knew there was a first version for piano? Ravel wrote everything for piano, so there must have been a first version. And here it is, the whole sucker, played by Claire-Marie Leguet. And I listened to it, and I have to say, I mean, it's an orchestral work. I mean, let's not be silly, right? And it needs to be played as such. It really does. I guess it's nice to have. That's one of the reasons this set runs to 21 discs. Rather than the more normative. Let's see, how does this go in? Trouble with this fabulous package is now that I've taken them out, I don't know how to put them back. Well, I'll put them back later. Well, I'll deal with that after the talk, and you can not have to watch me fumble. So, disc 1, disc 2. Disc 3, let's see what we have here. Oh, more piano works. The Valse Noble in the piano version, and the Tombeau de Couperin and La Valse. This is with Bertrand Chamayou and Beatrice Arana, the new Beatrice Arana, who's also quite good. That's sort of like fun. It's fun to have. And then we get, let's see, disc 4. Oh, now we're into orchestral works. No, we're not. We're still into piano stuff. Holy cow. But it's piano 4 hands. You get the Scheherazade Overture for 4 hands. I mean, no one even listens to that in its orchestral version, but here it is for 4 hands. It's actually a good piece. The Mother Goose Suite, before the ballet. And let's see, the fanfare for L'Eventail de Jean. Why anybody would want that for 4 hands, I don't know. It's a fanfare. It needs to be fanfared in brass. Then you get transcriptions by Ravel, the Debussy Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun. And then for 2 pianos, you get the Suite Articulaire, Sites, Articulaire, the Introduction and Allegro. Woo! And the Rhapsody Espagnole. And these are Thorson and Thurber. Remember them? Look at that. Argerich and Mogilevsky, Collard and Beroff, Jean-Pierre Armengaud and Olivier Chauzou, and Giorgia Tomasi and Alessandro Stella. Well, that's quite a selection, isn't it? Look at that. And there's just a lot of stuff here. All right, next, more 2 pianos. La Valse, we already heard that for 1 piano. Now we get it for 2 pianos. When will we get La Valse the way Ravel wrote it for the orchestra? It's coming. Bolero for 2 pianos. And then 2 pianos, 5 hands. His frontispiece and Debussy's Nocturnes transcribed for 2 pianos. I mean, this is some very interesting stuff, if you like that. And it's Martha Argerich and Rabinovich, Dag Achatz, and Yuki Nagai. That must have been borrowed from Bis, as we well know. And then Collard and Beroff with Marielle Lebec as the 5th hand. They only used the 5th hand, not the rest of her, which I think is kind of amusing. All right, chamber music. The chamber music is Renaud Capuçon, Frank Braley, and Gautier Capuçon, and the Quatuor Eben in the Quatuor, in the quartet. It's all very, very beautiful. I don't need to go into it in detail. I really don't. These are very, very fine performances of Ravel's chamber music, and there's nothing to criticize there. But this is nice. Wait a minute. What do we get with Christian Ferris and Pierre Barbizet? In track number 5 here. Oh, the Tzigan. Ugh. Don't you hate Tzigan? It's like the worst thing Ravel ever wrote, isn't it? I mean, it's just irritating. It's got all this silly violin noodling all over the place, and the orchestral version is even worse, because when the orchestra finally comes in at the end, you just wonder where it's been all the time, because the violin's been wailing away. Oh God, it's horrible. So we don't care about Tzigan. At least I don't. Orchestral works. Now here things go a little crazy because they have so many versions of the orchestral works, and they basically are plucking here and there. And frankly, again, for the orchestral works, it's EMI. What have they got? They've got Martinon on the one hand, who's fabulous, but not all that well recorded. And more important, you've got Cluiton or Cluitins or Cluitins, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Somebody criticize me in the comments. The Cluytens Belgian guy, Andre Cluitins, has his fabulous ultimate Ravel orchestral music cycle with the Paris Conservatory Orchestra, and that should have been the basis for it. Just take all of it, with one possible exception that I'll get to in a minute, and then you can fill in the rest. But they didn't do that. They did some nice things here, but it's a little bit odd. So let's see what we have here. So let's see. Tracks 1 and 2, the Minuet Antique and the Scheherazade Overture is Martinon. The Pavane for a Dead Princess is Giulini. Well, there you go. There's a statement. And then you get 2 of the Miroirs and the Rhapsody. Who's doing the 2 Miroirs? That's 4 and 5. Okay. And the Rhapsody Espagnole, that's with the Philadelphia Orchestra and Riccardo Muti. Those are hot. That's really exciting. So those are all good as far as they go. Next, we get Deafness and Chloe with Cluiton. Thank God! Oh, my goodness, thank God. But then you get the Valse Noble et Sentimentale, which nobody really likes or cares about, but still, with Yannick Nézet-Séguin, or Nazgul Snezek-Yegin, as I like to call him, with the Rotterdam Philharmonic. Why? Really? Why? I mean, And here was a big miss. Big miss. You get the Mother Goose Complete Ballet with Simon Rattle of the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra when you've got Cluiton and Martineau? I mean, they must be crazy. And the Martineau particularly is like the most beautiful, oh God, the best fairy garden at the end. It's so gorgeous, the harp whizzing along, and that was just such a dumb choice. And the, let's see, Le Tombeau de Couperin is with Martineau. Okay, that's okay. And let's see, La Valse is, it's so hard to figure these things out because they're all in little doopy things. That's Martineau too. Okay, that's good. And let's see, 13 is Tsigan. Who does Tsigan? Vadim Repin with Kent Nagano. Who cares, right? It's Tsigan. It's boring. And then you get the little fanfare, Hoogie Woogie, with Simon Rattle. He does that very well. If I want to hear the fanfare from L'Eventail de Jean, I go for Rattle every time. All 1 minute and 21 seconds of it. And that's as much of Rattle as I want to hear playing Ravel. Next, more orchestral works, Bolero. It's the late Munch recording. Now, this one is interesting, the late Munch recording with the Orchestre de Paris, because it's 17 minutes long. It is the slowest bolero in existence, along with Skrovichevsky, who is about the same slowness, and, of course, Celibidache, who takes 21 discs for Bolero alone. But that's really remarkable, this Munch Bolero that no one ever plays. And because, his regular Bolero, the one he did in Boston, was a couple minutes faster, a couple minutes faster. And now we come to the concertos. The concertos. Oh, dear, the concertos. All right. For the left hand, we get Samson Francois, thank God, with Cluiton, but not for the G major. No. That would have been too simple because that is the reference recording for the piano concertos. Samson Francois with Cluiton, Cluytens guy. It's the reference recording. No. We have to have Martha Argerich because she exists. It's only like the fifth time she's recorded the piece, and it gets worse every time she does it, particularly when the accompaniment is the Orchestra della Svizzera Italiana under Alexander Vadernikov. Why? Well, because it's Argerich, obviously, and they have to have it because it's Argerich. That is such a dumb move. And Argerich, she's a force of nature. She's an amazing pianist. She's running around with her buddies playing the same shit over and over again with her friends, the microphone's up, and she doesn't seem to care how it comes out because she's happy. And it's not fair to us, the listeners. I have to be honest. I yield to no one in my admiration for Martha Argerich and for her desire to do her own thing and go her own way, but to allow herself to be exploited when she's not doing her best work. And she's responsible. If she doesn't want to play solo, that's her business. But if she wants to work with her partner, she damn well better make sure they're as good as she is. That's how I feel about it. And this was just a bad move. It really was. Foolish. All right, where are we? Disc 12, Orchestrations by Ravel of other composers. We have his bits of Schumann's Carnival. That's fun to have. That's with Emmanuel Krivine. And the Chabré Monouet Pompeux. And then the pictures in an exhibition. This is the Philharmonia one with Lauren Mazel, which is very good and no one ever talks about. And one of you just mentioned it in the comments recently. And you were right to. It's a very good performance. And so that's exciting to have. And then a couple of Debussy things with the Basel Symphony and Armin Jordan. And there's one thing, what is this? The Tarentelle Styrienne with Martineau. Okay, that's fun to have. I'm totally on board with that one. All right, then we get the songs. Now, I cannot go through all the songs. No way am I going through all the songs. That's You remember EMI had those wonderful, wonderful French song discs, where you had Mady Misplay and José Van Damme and Jesse Norman and Ellie Ameling and Janet Baker, who's doing the Scheherazade, which is terrific, and Victoria de Los Angeles and Gabrielle Baquier, Victoria de Los Angeles. There we go. I mean, with Dalton Baldwin and Aldo Ciccolini and Rudolph Jansen and everybody. It's just they're great collection of the songs. Of course, you don't get the words, you don't get the text, you don't know what they're singing about, but who cares, really? It's all good fun, right? And then we have, let's see, choral works. Oh, these are his Prix de Rome cantatas. Those things like Alyssa and that's one of them. And then there are 3 songs for mixed chorus without accompaniment with the ensemble vocal Philippe Callard, which is just essential Ravel. And then we get the operas. L'Heure Espagnole, Armin Jordan's. These were good. These were very good. Armin Jordan's versions of the operas were quite good. There's one opera. Anyway, then we get, let's see, more choral works. La Bayadère, tout, everything is light, tout est lumière, with, sort of orchestral things. And wow, look at that. The cantata Mirha and Alcyone, and that was not, counting Alyssa. Those were with Plasson. Remember, he did that Ravel Prix de Rome weird cantata disc. This is all early Ravel, not very, very idiomatic or typical of his later style. But boy, if you want it complete, this is complete. Holy mackerel. Oh, here's L'Enfant et les Sortilèges. This is Miko Frank's version. I remember this one. And it's also pretty good. I mean, there really are no bad recordings of L'Enfant et les Sortilèges. But of course, the classic versions were the Mazel recordings on Deutsche Grammophon, which are in the Universal box. And so they sort of win in the opera competition. But these are nice to have. And the Miko Frank is recent, so that's not bad. That's not bad. Then we have, what's this here? Ravel conducting Ravel. Now we get some historical stuff. This is an 80-minute disc. This is a lot of music. You have him doing his own introduction in Allegro, and the Chanson Maracas and Bolero, which is also one of the slowest ones. It's about 16 minutes and a little bit. So that's interesting. I mean, they're in grungy sound, of course, but it's with the Lamoureux Orchestra, and it's really kind of cool to have. And then we have, let's see, more historical recordings. Ravel plays Ravel. Piano rolls from, 1913. He does the Valse Noble, the Sonatine, Miroirs, the Pavane, the Tombeau de Couperin, just a piece of it. Gaspard de la Nuit, just a piece of it, a piece of the Miroirs. And also Robert Casadecieux is one of the soloists here because Robert Casadecieux, they used to think was Ravel who was playing it, but it wasn't. But they found out who's doing it. Then they have recordings supervised by the composer. You have the Piano Concerto with Marguerite Long. That's a famous, famous recording. The Pavane with, let's see, this is the orchestra under Pedro de Freitas Branco. Holy mackerel! Doing in the Piano Concerto, we've been doing Portuguese music with the Freitas Brancos. Pedro was the brother of Luis de Freitas Branco, and Don Quixote et Dulcinea with Marshall Singer, the baritone, and with the orchestra under Piero Coppola. Wow, pretty cool, huh? I mean, that's good stuff. Those are famous historical recordings. And then we get Ravel, his friends, and interpreters. So we have Robert Casadecieux doing Jeu d'eau, Alfred Cortot in the Sonatine, Arthur Rubinstein in a bit of Le Tombeau de Couperin, Marcel Meyer doing the Valse Noble, and Henriette Faure, or Faure, there's no A, so it's Faure. Maybe it should be Faure, spelled the same way, in the Miroirs. Let's see now, disc 20, only 2 more to go. We're getting there. We're getting there. The cavalry is charging up the hill. But more historical recordings. Scheherazade with Marcel Gérard and Piero Coppola conducting orchestra, just plain orchestra. Histoire naturelle with Pierre Bernac. Oh yeah, and Francis Poulenc. I mean, these are famous, famous performances of his songs. And let's see, Madeleine Panzera-Bayot, oh, she was famous, playing the piano in the Chant Populaire and singing. And the Deux Mélodies Hébraïques, the Quatuor Calvé, that's a famous recording of the quartet, real French style, sort of lean and mean and thin vibrato type string quartet playing, which is actually quite fun. Oh, and another version of Tzigane with Zeno Francescatti and Maurice Faure. Must be Henriette's grandfather or something, I don't know. And then the final disc, here we are, a piece of L'Heure Espagnole, the Piano Concerto in D with Jacques Févier. Oh, that's cool. That's with Charles Munch. That's a fun one to have. And let's see, the Mother Goose with Charles Munch. And let's see, that's with Walter Strarum, Orchestra des Concerts Strarum under Walter Strarum. And then we have Coppola doing, let's see, the Valse Noble et Sentimentale, and finally La Valse with the Orchestre Symphonique de Paris under Pierre Monteux. And if you wonder why I sound like such a mess trying to tell you what's on these things, is because this is how they do them. Take a look at this. I mean, you see what I mean? You've got the works over here, and lots of them, and then all the performers over here, and then in little teeny parentheses you get the little what thing they're doing over here. And matching up the works to the performers can be a real pain in the butt, especially when you've got 350 little songs and 650 singers and 20 pianists and 4 accompanists, and there's one orchestral one. And so please, I apologize if that sounded scattered. But anyway, that is the complete Ravel edition, and it's very, very complete. Very, very complete. Aside from the weird selections in the orchestral music, it's really kind of hard to quibble with it. I mean, you get great songs, great chamber music, very, very good piano music. I think that, on the whole, all these historical recordings, I mean, it's 21 discs because they want to sell you more of them and charge more, but it's still a bargain at any price, and the discs are very, very well filled. And that's quite an extraordinary achievement, I think, on the whole. Certainly, this one is superior to this one, the universal one. So if you're looking for a complete Ravel, Warner is going to be your way to go. It just has to be. We have no choice. And it's so complete, so excessively complete, that even if you own many of these other recordings and performances, you'll probably want it just to have it. You know what I mean? It's just fun to have, to say that you have everything Ravel even thought about in a box. So here you have it. More material for you to keep on listening. Thank you, folks. Enjoy your Ravel. Holy cow, I still can't believe I got through that. Wow.